Councillors, officers and members of the public, welcome to the 4th of October 2023 Ordinary Meeting of Council. I'll now open the meeting with the first item on the evening's agenda, the reading of the prayer. Almighty God, be with us as we work for the people of the Shire of Moorabool. Grant us wisdom that we may care for the Shire as true stewards of your creation. May we be aware of the great responsibilities placed upon us. Help us to be just in all our dealings, and may our work prosper for the good of all. Amen. I will now read the Acknowledgement of Country. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay my respects to their elders past and present, and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today. I'd also like to advise that in accordance with Moorabool Shire Council's governance rules, the Council will be recording and live streaming this meeting. The Moorabool News and Star Weekly have also been granted permission to record this meeting. Councillors, I can confirm that we have 5 councillors in the chambers and Councillor Edwards with us online. I understand Councillor Sullivan has been held up, but he's joining us, but I'll put him down as an apology at this early stage of the meeting. There we go. I can confirm that all councillors will be in attendance. Councillors, we have minutes from the 6th of September 2023 Ordinary Meeting of Council to be confirmed. Do I have a councillor to move the minutes to be confirmed? Councillor Berry?
Yes, I'm happy to move them, thank you.
Seconded Councillor Minari. Is there any dissent? Put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Declare the motion carried. Councillors, does anyone have a conflict of interest to declare in tonight's meeting? No, we'll move to the next agenda item. Public question time is item 8. Councillors, we've received 2 questions from members of the public to be considered at this meeting. The first question is from Mr John Kowalski, and the question and response will be read by Phil Jeffrey.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. The question is, what measure or measures does Council plan to implement to reduce the risk of future instances of vandalism at Moorabool's Park, such as that which has recently occurred at Mill Park and Telford Park? The response is, it is disappointing that some members of the community choose to vandalise spaces that are there for the public to use. This type of damage is a cost to the community and detracts from having good quality public spaces. Some of the measures Council already uses to deter this behaviour is access control to public areas, security patrols, site fencing for construction zones, CCTV, surveillance and discussions with Victoria Police. Unfortunately, it's nearly impossible to prevent any instance of vandalism occurring, but it's considered that these measures do assist with deterring these events.
Thank you, Mr Jeffrey. The second question I have is from...
Mr Mayor, if I may, please.
Yes.
Just a question. Do we have a hotline for members of the community to ring in if they see any vandalism or anything occurring into Council, to sort of give a bit of a, some sort of a hotline we could employ?
Mr CEO?
Through the Chair, we have no specific hotline, but I'm happy to take that as a recommendation.
Thank you. The second question is from Karen Hinkley, who I'm pleased to introduce. Karen, who's in the chamber tonight, and Karen's question and the response will be read by Lee McCallum.
Thank you, through the Chair. We, the Committee of the Elaine Rec Reserve, acknowledge our obligations and wish to comply with the Local Government Act 2020. We wish to move forward with the 2023-2024 sporting season and are unable to locate relevant documents via the Moorabool Shire Council website, copies of Community Asset Committee user agreements. We have spent some time looking for the documents that were on the Council site that were relevant to the changes with the new Act 2020. It would appear they have been removed. Where have they gone and why has the access been removed? And in response to that question, at the December 2022 Ordinary Meeting of Council, the Community Asset Committee guidelines were endorsed. In addition to those guidelines being available on the public agenda on Council's website, the guidelines are now also available on the Council's website in the Policy, Plans and Strategies section. Following adoption, the guidelines were circulated to community asset committees and subsequent training offered to committees to familiarise themselves with the new guidelines. Council's community development officers will make contact with the Elaine Recreation Reserve Community Asset Committees to answer any further questions they may have.
Thank you, Lee, and thank you, Karen. Hopefully that answers your question, and thank you for your contribution to the Elaine community. Item 9 is petitions. As there are no petitions for this meeting, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is item 10, presentations and deputations. Again, as there are no presentations or deputations, we'll move to next item. Sorry, Councillor Berry.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Oh, can we have the heater switched off, please? Because I missed half of that question time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, item 11 is the Chief Executive Officer's reports. The first report is adoption in principle of the 2022-2023 performance statement for submission to the Victorian Auditor General for certification. Councillors, you have a recommendation in the papers before you regarding this report.
So moved, Mr Mayor.
Move Councillor Sullivan. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Berry. Would anyone like to speak to the motion, or is there any dissent? We'll move to the vote. All in favour? Declare the motion carried. Item 11.2 is the 2022-2023 Government and Management Checklist. Again, councillors, you have a recommendation in the papers before you regarding this report. Do I have a councillor to move the recommendation?
So moved.
Councillor Dudzik. Councillor seconded by Councillor Minari. Do we have any questions or dissent, councillors? Put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Declare the motion carried. Item 11.3 is the adoption of statutory compliance framework and policy framework. Again, councillors, you have a recommendation in the papers before you regarding this. Do I have a councillor to move this recommendation? Move Councillor Berry. Seconded Councillor Minari. Would anyone have any questions or a dissent?
Question. These days we hear a lot of AI. Is this, going forward, is that something we could actually employ in this area to sort of see whether compliance is adhered to? Just a futuristic question, Mr Mayor.
Celeste?
Through the Chair, it hasn't been something that we've explored at the moment, but it is definitely something we can explore. Yeah, we'll take that on notice for future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. We'll now put the motion to a vote. All in favour? I'll declare the motion carried. Councillors, item 11.4 is a revised notice of motion report on the homelessness in the Moorabool Shire. As this relates to a notice of motion raised by myself on the 6th of February, at the 6th of September, 2023 OMC Ordinary Meeting of Council, I'll now vacate the chair and invite Councillor Minari to resume the chair.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Okay. Item 11.4, revised report on homelessness in Moorabool Shire. I will hand it over to Councillor Ward just to give an update on the revised notice of motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Minari. Councillors, as I explained at last week's briefing, I wish to revise the notice of motion. We went through many reiterations of this notice of motion because we did not want to put Moorabool Shire Council in a position where we were doing the work of the state or federal governments. And in that context, I do note that the state government has also released their housing statement. So in the final version of this notice of motion, we have removed point 8, which previously read, identify how Moorabool Shire can develop effective homelessness and housing strategies. That has been removed because that has now been picked up by the state. And we revised point 3 to read, outline how Moorabool Shire can most effectively collaborate with the state and federal governments. So I'd like to revise that notice of motion for you and make those 2 changes.
Thank you, Councillor Ward. So we'll move to put the motion... Sorry. Oh, sorry. Happy to second it. Oh, okay. So, Councillor Ward, are you happy to move the motion? Seconded by Councillor Dudzik. Do I have anyone that would like to speak to the motion or any dissent? No? All those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Minari. Councillors, we'll move to item 12, which is community strength and reports, and item 12.1 is the outdoor pools temperature policy operating hours. Again, councillors, you have a recommendation in the papers before you regarding this. Do I have a councillor to move the recommendation? Councillor Dudzik, seconded Councillor Berry. Any questions or dissent? All in favour? I declare the motion carried. Item 12.2 is the Community Asset Committee reports. Councillors, you have a recommendation in the papers again before you regarding these reports, which are the minutes from various Community Asset Committee meetings that have been held. Do I have a councillor to move it? Moved Councillor Sullivan, seconded Councillor Minari. Any questions or dissent? All in favour? Declare the motion carried. Item 12.3 is the Bacchus Marsh BMX Club response to notice of motion. Councillors, you have a recommendation again in the papers before you regarding this. Do I have a councillor to move this recommendation? Moved Councillor Dudzik. Anyone? Any councillor to second the motion? Seconded Councillor Edwards. Any questions or dissent, councillors? Councillor Berry.
Yes, thank you. Mr Mayor, I just have a question. I noticed in the delivery of the notes that we're spending $30,000 annually at the moment for upkeep of the BMX track. What does that $30,000 go on exactly?
Thank you, Councillor Berry. I'll ask Lee McCallum to answer that question.
Through the chair, Councillor Berry, just a point of clarification. Are you referring to the report where it estimates that the cost would be in the vicinity of $30,000 if council was to take over the maintaining of that facility?
No, I was referring to that we had been doing the upkeep of the facility at the moment, doing repairs and I don't know.
So through the chair, currently council maintains outside of the BMX track. Council does not currently maintain the BMX track surface. That's under an agreement with the BMX club. There is a notation in the report that does refer to if council was to take on the cost of the maintenance of the BMX track, that is estimated to be in the vicinity of $30,000 per annum.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Any further questions, councillors, or dissent? So we have a mover and a seconder, councillors. All in favour? Declare the motion carried. Item 12.4 is the final economic development strategy 2023 to 2027. Again, councillors, there is a recommendation before you regarding this report. Do I have a councillor to move the recommendation?
Question, if I may.
Question, Councillor Sullivan.
Will this work that's proposed to prioritise the development of the business attraction plan capture opportunities that come along? And I could cite one. We had a situation where council didn't agree to a planning permit for something in Bungaree, but have we, say, reached out to that operator to say we have other facilities or sites within our shire that might suit? I mean, to follow up on opportunities. So will this capture those opportunities that come along from time to time?
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. I'll defer that question to Lee.
Thank you, through the chair. What the investment attraction prospectus will enable council to do is to set the basic frame for the decision making of what would be included. Currently at the moment through our economic development team, we do have the ability to have a concierge relationship with prospective developers where we would work with our internal stakeholders to facilitate an outcome if that was achievable. What the prospectus will do will set down a set of principles that will enable officers to move forward to go through certain negotiations with developers as they may enter into the shire. Thank
you, Lee. Councillors, any further questions? If so, I'd ask, would any councillor would like to move the recommendation? Councillor Edwards, second. Councillor Berry.
Second, thank you.
Councillors, any dissent? All in favour? Declare the motion carried. We move to item 13, councillors, which is the customer care and advocacy reports. Item 13.1, the first report is the adoption in principle of the 2022-23 financial statements for submission to the Victorian Auditor General for certification. Councillors, you have a recommendation before you regarding this report. Would I have someone move that recommendation? Moved Councillor Sullivan, seconded Councillor Edwards. Councillors, any questions or dissent? Put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Declare the motion carried. Item 14 is other reports. Councillors, and we have no other reports. I'll move to item 15, which is the notice of motion, and we have no further notices of motion. So I'll move to the next agenda item, which is item 16, notices of rescission, pardon me. And we have no notices of rescission. Councillors, item 17 is the Mayor's report. You have my written report before you. Councillors, do I have a councillor to move the recommendation to receive the Mayor's report?
Moved.
Moved Councillor Sullivan, second Councillor Berry. All in favour? Declare that carried. Councillors, before I move around the room for the councillors' reports, I'll just add a few items. Councillors, on a sombre note, we do note the sad passing of long-serving Moorabool Shire employee Sandy Thacker, who passed away on Monday, the 2nd of October. Sandy was a employee in Moorabool Shire for 27 years. She started at the Bland office as a telephonist, and she held various roles over those years, most recently in our storm recovery team. So my condolences and that of everyone associated with the Moorabool Shire Council go out to Sandy's family, friends and everyone that knew and loved Sandy. So thank you. The second item I want to pass on, and congratulations, is to the Gordon Football Netball Club, who won a Central Highlands Football League premiership this year to give them back-to-back premierships in 2022 and 23. I understand not everyone is involved in community football or netball, but that is a fantastic achievement in a very large and strong competition. And I pass on my congratulations to the Gordon Football Netball Club, who also won the D-grade netball premiership. It's interesting to note that the grand final in the Central Highlands League was as an all-Moorabool affair between Gordon and Springbank. Speaking of Springbank, I congratulate them on winning the Central Highlands Football League under-18 and reserves football premierships and the under-15 netball. Likewise to the Bacchus Marsh Football Netball Club on winning the Ballarat Football League under-16 youth girls premiership and the 13 and under reserves netball premiership. And finally to the Darley Football Netball Club on winning the senior football premiership in a thrilling 1-point win. The club also won the BFLW, the senior women's football premiership, the under-13 senior boys premiership, and the 17 and under, 19 and under, and C-grade netball premierships. So congratulations to Darley, who also for the first time in their history were awarded the Merv and Mary Howard Memorial Champion Club Award, which is a combination of their results over senior and junior football and netball. So congratulations to them. A couple of final points. Councillors may have seen in the newspaper this week there where, as part of our community engagement strategy, we're offering a coffee with a councillor session on Saturday the 21st of October at the Darley Market from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. So all councillors that may be interested or available can join us along there, and we'll certainly be endeavouring to conduct a couple more of those. I want to also note the wonderful achievement of Rosalie resident Vicky Davey. Vicky is the co-founder of Grown Not Flown, and she was the winner of the 2023 Rural Women's Award. Vicky developed a free digital platform and app to connect consumers with local and sustainable farmers. So congratulations to Vicky on a wonderful achievement. Just in wrapping up, National Children's Week is coming up on October 21 to 29, and there will be an activity in the Bacchus Marsh Hall on Monday the 23rd of October. Children and families are invited to come down and enjoy an eventful morning. There'll be a mobile animal farm, entertainment activities and sausage sizzle. And my last item is to pass on our sincere congratulations to our Chief Financial Officer, Mr Steve Velger, on his birthday today. Thank you, Steve.
Is there a cake?
Thank you, councillors. The next item on the agenda is the councillors' report. So I'll whip around the room, starting with Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Before I do give my report, I've got a few items. I would like to concur with what you said about the passing of Sandy Thacker, 27 years. That puts Sandy at the same time that I started council here, so that sort of puts some context to it. Your other point about the sporting achievements of the clubs and that within Moorabool Shire, not for the council to take credit for it, but it does sort of suggest that our sport and recreation strategy is bearing fruit in the long term, because with the facilities that this council has put in place has enabled these clubs to utilise good facilities. So it's a credit to council and all the staff who have done that over the journey. So I'd just like to add that. Getting back to my other matters, on Thursday the 21st of September I attended the AGM of the Elaine Recreation Reserve at the Elaine Hall. We have 2 members here this evening. It was a well-attended meeting with a new committee of experienced and new faces being elected, which is great. There were a few matters arising. Hang on, sorry, I've got some feedback. Just about do we actually have user agreement templates for such facilities that people could sort of use? So that's just, you can take that without notice. And how far might be progressing with the naming of the facility? There was a petition, you may recall, the Ron Reid petition. I'm just wondering where that's sort of at. So that's, I'll leave those questions if somebody just don't answer them now. On Monday the 25th of September, along with Councillor Ward, the CEO, Mr Madden, Mr Henry Bazuna and Ms Catherine Lay, I met with some community members in Bland Chambers here regarding the AusNet transmission lines. It was a very positive meeting and I think reassuring to those members of the community. Another matter, I don't know whether other councils have been fielding any queries about the rates that people are getting, but I've had people, you know, numerous people, their rates have gone up nearly 100%. And it clearly indicates to me, council, that we have a system that's broken when that happens. So I'm just putting it on notice that we have to, before the next budget session, we need to sort of get something in place that really removes those anomalies where some of these people are on pensions and all of a sudden they've got a 100% increase on their rates, I think, which is not tolerable. So anyway, that's all, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Minari.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Twice this month I attended the Tourism Midwest Forum that was held here in the Chamber. Lots of different community members attended from all walks of life, including a few of us councillors and staff. Great, robust discussion, lots of different things been thrown around the room, and it's something that that I really enjoyed sort of working on and continuing the process. I also attended this month my first Public Art and Sculpture Committee meeting. It's a new committee. I missed the first meeting, and so I was really excited to meet the new committee members that have gathered, that have been gathered by the council. Very knowledgeable in that art space in our community from all different walks of life, and I really was really overwhelmed on how much knowledge is coming into the Shire, and the ideas and the conversations in the room were really really helpful for me as the chair of that meeting, and I look forward to working with them in the future. And this month I was invited to open the pennant season for the Bland Bowls Club. Already knew quite a few people there, but it was lovely to meet some different Bland people that I hadn't met, and it was lots of fun and hadn't bowled for a long time, so it was they put me on the spot, and they received a new member out of my mother, so that was good. So they were pretty happy there. So yeah, so that was all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Minari. Councillor Tatchell.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. First, I'd like to I agree with Councillor Sullivan in terms of excuse me, the issue that we're facing with these rural rates And we are at the crossroads with this. And if we don't, I agree with Tom, if we don't get on top of this, we're going to be in a heap of trouble, and so are our residents. And I too have been getting the same amount of calls. So you'll certainly have my support, Tom. For the last 5 weeks, I've been working with a panel on the RSA agreement, the recognition and settlement agreement, where we're taking it to taking the discussion around country Victoria. Now, you might say, what's a Maroochydore councillor doing as part of that panel? This is the first of a number of agreements that are going to have a dramatic effect on the way councils do business. There's the 10 councils involved in this are all faced with a number of issues that are not going to be resolved overnight. There's a complication in terms of the state government signed an agreement with cooperatives that needs to be maintained by local government with no authority. And these are the challenges of the 10 councils. Tomorrow we're taking it to Dunkeld, we've been to Warburg, Beaufort, we'll go to Mildura, and we'll hopefully, before these RSA agreements arrive in Moorabool, we'll not only have a clear understanding, but we'll have a petition to push back and maintain the status quo for our Crown land, our waterways and all those important things. This is a very dramatic agreement. It was signed in the cloak of darkness. It wasn't put out until July. It was signed last October. I had the person who actually negotiated come to a meeting last week and explained to him that there's some massive holes in this agreement that we're going to have to deal with at some point in time. And sadly, the person who wrote the report, or that was signed, had absolutely no idea what he'd written, because there was people in that room that were showing him his own writings that contradicted what he was saying, and that came directly from government. So I suppose it's very important that we get on top of this. And it's interesting tonight when we talk about areas that are run by the community, and being a country kid and now a country old man, all of these facilities at some point in time were built by country people and are run by volunteers as country people. Well, that's about to be taken away from, because a lot of those buildings and organisations are on Crown land. And once that agreement is put in place, that will put all of those committees under enormous strain, and the council. It also challenges our democratic right to have a coal-face representation at the table at council meetings, where people that are unelected will be given exactly the same rights as councillors as they have been in this agreement of the 10 councils. There'll be more to be said about this as we move forward. It's a real pity that the government hasn't engaged on this and hasn't come to any of the meetings, hasn't answered any of the questions. And in fact, when a petition was put up in Spring Street, it was removed within 2 days. So I think this is our opportunity to actually push back before we have to deal with the problem. So Mr Mayor, that's what I've been busy doing. So there's been other things happening, but I think that's a far more important thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tatchell, and I do thank you for taking the time and volunteering your time to attend those meetings to keep us briefed, and we'll no doubt be having further discussions on that matter. Councillor Edwards, is he still with us online?
Yeah, I'm still there, Mr Mayor. Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Councillor Berry.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. On Thursday, the 14th of September, I attended the sod turning with the Mayor and Michaela Settle MP for the Aqualink Nodes project near Douglas Close in Darley. It was good to see quite a few residents using that part of the Aqualink while we were turning the sod, while the sod was being turned. Then on Thursday, that same day, the 14th of September, the afternoon, attended the official opening of Telford Park, Stage 2, which included the 1,001 steps, the sculpture walk, with Minister Harriet Shing in attendance. And I must say, she is one of the happiest ministers I have ever seen had anything to do with. She's just a ball of laughter and smiles and delivering what she needs to deliver. so happily. The Telford Park Sculpture Walk and 1,000 Steps coming together for many community members to enjoy. I think it's both of those events, although I wouldn't like to attempt the full steps, but having families go there and they've got the choices, it makes for a really great area. And then with the possibility of the activation of the top of the steps down the track, it'd just be a fantastic area for all the community and visitors to attend. On Friday the 15th of September, I meeting with the President of the Bacchus Marsh RSL along with the Mayor to talk about some things that they'd like to put in place. It's also attended the Tourism Midwest 2 sessions, as did a couple of other councillors too, and found it very enlightening, and the participation from the local community members was fantastic, so that we can build our own local area tourism activities. Was two very eventful days. As October is Seniors Month, and we've got a few senior councillors here, it is great to see council have joined with community groups and that's including myself, with community groups such as the Country Women's Association and the local radio station 98.5 Apple FN, volunteering their time at the Bacchus Marsh Public Hall on the 19th of October to enjoy homemade cooking from the CWA and some dancing and a sing-along fun day should be had by all. That's the 19th of October, it's a Thursday, and it runs from 10 a.m. through to 4 p.m. So I say thank you to Council for working with these groups so that they can give their time up for seniors to attend a free event and have a lovely afternoon or day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. I too have booked in for a couple of those seniors events. I've booked in for the Come and Try aerobics and exercises at the Bacchus Marsh Secondary College, so that will be embarrassing. Councillor Dudzik.
Nothing to report from me, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dudzik. Councillors, can I have a councillor to move that we receive the councillors' reports? Councillor Sullivan, seconded Councillor Minari. All in favour? Thank you. I declare the reports carried. Item 19, councillors, is urgent business. So again, I'll just go around the room to see if there's any urgent business. Councillor Sullivan.
Mr Mayor, I do have a matter of urgent business, and I'll start with the preamble and ask the council give consideration to it being accepted. It relates to the amount of fallen timber in the Wombat State Forest within Moorabool Shire following the storm events of 2021. So that's the...
Yep, councillors, you heard Councillor Sullivan. Do we have someone move to accept the item of urgent business? Moved Councillor Minari, seconded Councillor Tatchell. All in favour? Okay. Councillor Sullivan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll just get my prop. I'll do it my prop. I think councillors and everybody, just to sort of give you the context of where the Wombat Forest sits within relation to Moorabool Shire. That red area to the north is mostly Wombat, partly Lerderderg, but a significant part of our municipality is covered by the Wombat Forest. And we have numerous towns located in and around that forest. So hence, my motion is that council write to the new Premier, the Honourable Jacinta Allen, expressing our concerns regarding the amount of... I've got this written down, so amount of fallen timber in the Wombat State Forest following the storm events of 2021, noting, with the projected dry summer forecast and the amount of fuel load in the forest, the risk posed to our small towns and communities situated within and nearby to the forest, requesting as a matter of urgency that work be undertaken to enhance the safety of the small communities within Moorabool Shire. Mr Mayor, I commend the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. So, councillors, you heard proposed notice of motion. It's been moved by Councillor Sullivan, seconded by Councillor Minari. Any dissent? All in favour? Declare the motion carried.
No other urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Minari.
No urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Tatchell.
No urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
No urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Berry.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I do have a question around a 60-kilometre signpost that I feel needs to be reduced to 50 in the Bacchus Marsh area. That I'd like a letter, if we can, be sent to the authorities.
So, Councillor Berry, just for clarity, are you asking a letter to be sent, or you want to put that up as an urgent notice of motion for discussion?
I could put up as an urgent
Notice of
motion.
okay. Councillors, you've heard the from Councillor Berry. Do we accept this urgent item of business? I beg your pardon. Move Councillor Tatchell. Seconded Councillor Minari. Councillor Berry.
Thank you. The said road is O'Leary's Way and Stonehill Drive, it's currently 60 kilometres an hour, and people have witnessed trucks going. There's a roundabout at O'Leary's Way and Stonehill Drive, so there's a roundabout that trucks are continuing to drive over the roundabout because they're coming up at 60 kilometres and they can't slow down and go around the roundabout. So there's people living on those corners that are very concerned. And I feel that the O'Leary's Way from the start of Griffith Street right down to where the households finish is a built-up area, and that it could be reduced to 50 kilometres an hour. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. So Councillor Berry has moved the notice of motion. Can I have someone to second it? Councillor Minari. Councillor Tatchell.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Sorry. My question is that even stopping or coming back 10 kilometres from 60 to 50 for trucks, is that going to stop a truck going around the roundabout as well? 10 kilometres, or is there something more that we may need to let trucks know there's a roundabout there?
Probably notification of a roundabout, and also because it's a built-up area, there's children that live in that street. I think notification, and being so built up, it is quite a wide street that, you have access from the main part to, but you're passing all households right along there. So, yeah, the notification and to reduce down to the 50, possibly, I'm guided by you, Councillor Tatchell, the 40, trucks find it very difficult to stop, and I just feel like it's an accident waiting to happen, that possibly the 40, down to the 40 zone being the built-up area.
Councillor Sullivan?
Just a question. Are we asking for a report on the feasibility, or asking that the change be made?
Change.
Change.
Just for clarity. Yep. Councillor Tatchell, was anything further?
I just have concerns about the kilometres an hour. I think trucks in O'Leary's Way is a problem at the best of times, and having been in the transport industry for 40 years, I can tell you that 10 kilometres an hour will make no difference in terms of whether a truck will stop in that area. The trucks that are there probably shouldn't be doing that sort of kilometres an hour anyway. If those that are there all the time would know there's a roundabout, I'd imagine. But I don't know what the answer to that is, by the way, either. Yep. But I do know that policing is the best way, but 10 kilometres an hour will make very little difference to a 64.5 tonne B double. You may as well say 30. It's
yeah.
Drivers have just got to be sensible about where they are when they're in town.
It is a built-up. It is a built-up area. So you've got, even to reduce down 60 to 50 for cars.
Point of order, Mr Mayor. Are we having a debate now, or are we going to wait for the motion to be moved second and opportunity to address?
We've got questions at the moment. I've got Councillor Tatchell. Councillor Sullivan also has his hand up.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Was this area covered by the LATAM that was done in that vicinity of the town, or not? I'm just trying to get some context.
Mr Jeffrey?
Through you, Mr Mayor, no, there hasn't been a LATAM in that area.
Councillor Dudzik?
Wouldn't this all have been assessed when they were building Hallett's Way? Surely there were transport studies and projections to work out what the right speed should be. Is there any documentation on that? And because I don't think 10 kilometres is going to do much at all.
Okay, we'll take that on notice. It's a good point. So, councillors, we have a notice of motion that's been moved by Councillor Berry and seconded by Councillor Minari. We've had some questions. Would anyone like to, first of all, I'll call for any dissent.
I object, Mr Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Edwards. So I invite you now, Councillor Berry. I know you've given us a summary of your notice of motion, but to speak in favour of it.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to see the reduction to 50. I know I pointed out a truck situation, but I have sat in that road, and to travel at 60, I even drove the road today just to see if they were approaching or if any children. Would I stop in time? I don't think so. If you look at built-up areas within Bacchus Marsh, most of them are down to 50 when you get in condensed area. And perhaps that speed limit at 60 was there originally before all these new estates were built there. When you're coming down, also when you're coming back down the hill, you're coming past the shopping centre, so I don't believe we should be doing 60 along that road either. So the length I'm talking about is from Griffith Street through that roundabout and down to the end of where the houses finish before you go down the hill, down the bottom of the hill to O'Leary's Way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Councillor Edwards, you oppose the motion. Please speak.
Yeah, so very simple for me, Mr Mayor. We don't make changes on a whim of the councillor, to be quite honest. What we do is we have professionals that come in and do studies. We have latent studies that Councillor Sullivan already alluded to in one of his questions. Many people travel that road every day. To make changes like that can frustrate other drivers. It is one of those things that should be consulted with the community. It should be considered appropriately by the professionals before we go and just make an ad hoc decision as such. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Edwards. Councillor Minari, you seconded the motion. Do you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you. I supported Councillor Berry's passion on this because this was a big reason that I wanted to become a councillor. People's safety is paramount, and I actually drove that road just 2 days ago, and there was no way I was doing 60. There's no way. And I wouldn't even probably even consider it. The houses are very close to the road. I think obviously in the process, if it got up, I assume that there's some sort of scrutiny in the process. We don't just, there is process, isn't there, when we have to change these things. So there is going to be steps if this gets up. So I'm comfortable with continuing to move forward with this decision if I have no problems with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Minari. I'll invite any other councillors who wish to speak in favour of or against the motion. Councillor Sullivan.
Mr Mayor, I understand full well the sentiment of the approach of what's being done here, but we're doing it in the absence of a report, some sort of technical report which alludes to why we're doing it. I mean, and I fully understand Councillor Berry's passion about this because it is something, but are we qualified enough to be able to make a call that it should be 50 as opposed to the current 60, which from what I've heard is obviously inadequate and not really provides a safe outcome. But I think we just have to ensure that we follow a process, and I think Councillor Minari did talk about process, and I think that process entails getting a report, getting some technical information, or otherwise the law of unintended consequences will kick in. We'll do this, it'll have some impact somewhere else, and then we could be just finding ourselves putting our spot fire. So I would have favoured, and I did ask a question, are we getting a report on this? So if we got a report, well then we could have the technical advice that I think that we do need to be able to make the informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Any other councillors? Councillor Dudzik.
I'd just like to say that I support Councillor Edwards in saying that I really do think we need to have detailed traffic assessments and reports, because it might not just be the 10 kilometres an hour that is the fix. It could be other improvements that need to be done to the area. And if we just change it by 10 kilometres an hour and think we're fixing a problem, we mightn't be doing that at all. It might not be the right fix. There might be something else that's needed. And perhaps that assessment should be made by people who work in the area and are qualified to make those decisions.
Thank you, Councillor Dudzik. Councillor Tatchell?
I've just got a question. Was the original urgent business to write a letter?
Just write a letter to express a concern of the speed limit, 60, to reduce to 50. To
Who are we writing to?
To the Department of Transport.
Councillor Tatchell?
Well, it's supplementary to that. So would it be prudent to write the letter to just say, can we have a report from those people and then work off that?
I'm happy
rather
to
than, because we don't set the speed limit anyway. So
yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to change it to that.
Councillor Edwards?
Question, Mr Mayor. Who owns the road? Is this a council road or is it Vic Road Road?
Mr Jeffrey?
Through you, Mr Mayor, it's a council-controlled road.
It's a council-controlled road. Councillors, we've had a notice of motion moved by Councillor Berry requesting that we write to the Department of Transport to reduce that section of Hallett's Way from the Manningley Shopping Centre to O'Leary's Way?
Yes.
From 60 to 50?
Yeah, from Griffith Street.
Griffith Street.
Yeah.
Yep. It's been moved by Councillor Berry and seconded by Councillor Minari. Councillors have had an opportunity to discuss the matter. I'll now put it to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Motion's lost.
Mayor, if I may, rather
Yes.
than lose the matter, I know that perhaps a reframing of it and we get some sort of report. It doesn't need to have a motion to get a report on it, so maybe that might at least allow us to progress the matter rather than let it end here.
Yes.
So, I mean, I know it's Councillor Berry's motion, but perhaps some report or assessment come back to council to enable us to progress it further.
Mr Jeffrey?
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. If I may, there was a notice of motion approved recently around pedestrian control at the top end of O'Leary Way near the shopping centre. So we could lump into that a review of the speed or appropriate traffic control measures as part of that report, if that would satisfy.
Yep. Thank you, Mr Jeffrey. I think that would be much appreciated. And Councillor Berry, thank you for your interest in public safety.
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Council? No, a report's being prepared.
we agreed to that. Just check it. Just check it.
Yes. Finally, Councillor Dudzik, any urgent business?
No urgent business.
Thank you. Councillors, we have 5 reports to be considered in a closed session of the meeting to the public. You have a recommendation before you to move into a closed session of public. Can I have asked Councillor to move the recommendation?
Mr Mayor, we move into closed session, but we have a timeout of 5 minutes before we do, with your indulgence.
Moved, Councillor Sullivan. Seconded, Councillor Berry. All in favour? Carried. Members of the public in the gallery and officers, please exit the chambers, and we're going to have a 5-minute break and we'll resume in 5 minutes in confidential. Thank you.